Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. Now, today's project, I'm going to get straight on and show you. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous? Now, it's a little bit different. What I've done is I've stamped the image twice, once on white watercolour card and once on some sort of grey card. And then I've spliced the two together. One I've coloured with watercolour paints and one I've left just stamped, and then made sure that they match back up when I put them back together. Isn't it effective design? Now it's this is done with a large Julia Hickey design stamp, but you could do this with any large stamp, and in fact you could probably even do it by building your own composition with doing some masking and things. But I think this is so pretty, and it's been ages since I showed you how to do watercolour paints. And can you see the shimmer? I brought my shimmer watercolours in there as well. Oh, I love that, how that's just catching that shimmer. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to show you now how I made this card. This is going to be a slightly larger card than I normally do, but that's because I'm using this gorgeous A5 stamp set. It is Julie's Handpicked Blossoms and Blooms. It's the A5 stamp set. Look at this stamp. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? It's right nearly as big as my hand. Really love this. So it matches some of the flowers from some of her other stamp sets, which I really love. So we're going to focus on that. So because of that, I'm using a 5.5 by 7.5 inch topper, and I'm going to stamp my image on both this grey paper and also a piece of watercolour card. So you can see they're both exactly the same size. Now, card base, I've tried to keep it as small as I can, so I've just gone up by 1 inch to 6.5 by 8.5 inches. I tried not to go up too much because of how big it was. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Now I thought I'd have a go at colouring with some watercolour inks. So these are some paints that, the lovely Tony Darroch gave me quite some time ago. So these are really pigmented. Now I think I must have one of her samples because it's got no markings on it at all. So yeah, I really love this. Really richly pigmented ink pen. You've got a little thing, foam pad there and some paint. Did Tony give it me? I might have got it from somewhere else. I don't know now. It was in my crafty stash, but they're really good watercolour colours. So you've got all of these. I don't even know how many there are, but there's a whole lovely array. And I don't know when I last did a watercolour image for you, so I thought, we'd have a go at that. Right, so I need my stamping platform out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp on the watercolour card, and I'm pushing it right up to the corner. And then I'm going to put my stamp on. Now, you know, I did this when I stamp. If my stamp is a similar size to the piece of paper, sorry about that rattling, I will often put my magnets on afterwards. So this is my finished piece. So I'm just thinking, where do I want it? Centre it up just like that. Looks perfect. So I can now put a magnet here and a magnet here, and hope it's going to hold. So let's put that on there, lift that up, make sure it's pushed right to the corner. Now, I've just told you I'm going to colour with watercolour, so I need my waterproof ink. So how many, I don't know how many we're going to need to do, how many stamps, but this goes on here. Now, one of the things, if you use something like your archival watercolour inks, you will probably find that it marks your stamps up. They do hold on to the black or whatever colour you're colouring with. But don't worry about that. It's not going to impact your stamp quality or anything like that. It's just the type of ink it is. It stains the silicone or whatever they're made out of, polymer, whatever it is. I'm not sure, never sure. So stamping onto there, pressing that down. Now this won't be enough. No, a bit too pale. I don't think my ink pad is that juicy. I have inked it up, but let's just go. The other thing is, watercolour card is so absorbent. So basically it's just sucking all that ink out off your ink pad into the cardstock. So let's go again. Pressing down all over, pressing down in the centre of the flowers, and away we go. I might have to do a third. You know me, I often do 3. That's really getting there. I'm just sort of this area. So let's focus on there. Might re-ink my stamp pad again soon. We're going to be colouring, so as long as we've got it fairly stamped, that's okay. Now the reason I've really pushed that up into the top corner is because I'm going to stamp again onto the grey, and I need to know that the stamped image is in exactly the same position. So you can use any of your corners that works for you. Oh, perfect. Look at that. That works so well. So I'm going to lift that out. Now, if you want, the other thing, and I was going to do it with that one, then I forgot, you could do is you could get something like your dotty tape pen. Let's work out which side I want to stamp onto. I'll stamp onto that side. And just put a couple of little bits on there as well. And that's going to help hold it down if your magnets aren't where you really need them to be. I've got to try and remember where those magnets need to go now. One there. And one there, and I've got that dotty tape pen in the middle. Let's have a look. Yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. The dotty tape pen definitely helps for what we're doing. So away we go again. Just rinse and repeat. Now this actually doesn't need to be watercolour ink for this bit, because we're not going to do watercolouring on this, but if you do it with the same ink pad, then you know the ink colour is going to be exactly the same. I have made that mistake before, where you change the ink pad to, you know, a different type, and then your ink colour, even though it's black, you've got different shades of black, haven't you? And then it just doesn't look quite right. I've only got that bit really that I've missed. The rest is stamped beautifully. It's so detailed, such a fine, gorgeous stamped image. So let's just focus on that area. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm just going to go in there. That is absolutely perfect. And you're going to get that every time with Julie stamps. They stamp beautifully. Okay, so we've now got the stamped image twice in exactly the same place on both these pieces of card. So you can see 1, 2, and they'll be exactly the same. If you could see through, they would lay one over the top. So that one I'm going to leave for a minute. And this one I'm going to put onto a piece on there. Now I have got a piece of kitchen towel. I've got a couple of pots of water. And I have got my paints. So I'm going to bring these in. I'm going to get a couple of brushes. Put them in here. So the reason I've got 2 pots is because I get very mucky and I want a clean and a dirty. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this, or cut the other one. So we only actually need, well, I'm going to actually paint over half, but we just need to sort of colour to about here. So I'll colour a little bit and then I'll show you one that I've finished. So I'm going to open out all my colours. And then I'm just going to, let's start with this gorgeous big flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the bigger brush and I'm just going to wet the top half of the petals. I'll just do 3 to begin with. Let's just wet there. Right. Then I'm going to come in with this really pretty peachy colour. Can you see it there? Let's get that there. I'm going to lay some down on here. You could do it on your mat or on here. I find it stains less in here. Put it on there. Straight away you can see why now I have a clean and a dirty. Pick up that one. Put that one there. There we are. Right. Just want a little bit more of that one. Okay, so I want it quite, my paintbrush quite wet. And I'm going to pick up some of this one. If I need more water, I've got a spray here. And I can always spray a little bit of water on there. Because I don't want it too coloured. I'm going to start down at the bottom. And I'm just going to paint up to the top. I need more colour. Always just cleaning my brush. And then just where it's into the wet, I want it darker at the base. Just oops, running out. So if it gets a bit too, I can always just take a little bit off. Now if you are starting on your colouring journey, you'll find that watercolour painting is so much more forgiving than alcohol pens. It is a lot easier. You can get away with a lot more mistakes. Yeah, it's a lot easier. So let's just get a little bit of, and actually, you know, strokes and things within watercolour painting look really nice. I just want to sort of take that back a little bit. You'll see why when we finish. There we go. Right, let's do that. Did I wet that one? Yeah, I might have done, but it's got a bit dry now. So let's pick that up. Start at the base where we want it darkest. Oh, I need to pick up some more paint. That's going to be a bit darker. Yep. A bit too dark. All right at the moment because I've only used one colour on my brush. So when I've done lots and that water is nearly grey, I have to be careful to only use the clean water as a last resort. Let's just drag that up into there. There we go. So what I thought then I'd do is I get this darker pink and I'd come over the base, and it's quite good doing it while it's still wet because it just sort of flows, which is really nice. This is what I love about watercolour, is the colours just flow. Now if you need to, you just get your heat gun out and then you just dry it between colours. So let's just come, you see I can come all the way through here. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a dry. Now I am no watercolour expert at all, and people are probably watching this and screaming at me and saying, no, you certainly aren't, Corrine. I just know what I enjoy. I know what I enjoy, and this just painting like this really makes me happy. I can just add on little bits more, and when I think I've got it close, I can, you know, just add in little bits. If it's not got enough colour, we can always just drag a little bit more out. Just dragging that yellow, well, that orangey peach colour up to the top. Works really well. There we go. Okay, so you carry on doing that. Then let's have a go at, oh, I need to just wipe that off. I'm going to have a go with some green. So let's go with, or two, I'm going to let that dry and then I'll show you what else I'm going to do with that. Let's go with this green. Let's pick some up. Now you see, this is where my water's going to start to get really yucky. You can spray onto your paint, and I'll show you in a minute. I do that quite often with my metallic one. So pick that up, and then I'm just going to, this is when you need to have dried between colours, because where this is going to touch with the peach, if it's wet, the green will run into the peach. So you do sometimes need to either pick carefully which bit you're going to do next, or colour or dry it between bits. Now this has got a little bit darker than I would quite like up at the top, so I'm just going to sort of take a little bit of the colour out. Just get it a bit dark at the bottom, so I want to just grab another green. Just grab this one and just drag, that's very dark, a little bit of that. That's better. Just dilute it down, Corrine, dilute it down. A little bit of this green where it's going to be darkest. It's going to be darkest where the flower sits over the top, and then down the centre. Same rules apply, same colouring rules apply, you just do it with different mediums. There we go. So you can keep on going like that. And then I'm going to have a go with, oh, what colour am I going to do? Oh, I tell you what, I'll do, no, that's still a bit wet. So let's go with, I want to do the, let's have a look, it does stain that a little bit. Let's go with that one and dilute it down. And I can do these petals, leaves, they're leaves, aren't they? The same as I did with the flower, if you want it really pale at the top, then just wet it down. So I can just add in there. There we go, clean that off, bit of clean water, and then I can just use that. Can you see how it just drags very pale to the end? There we go, that's how I like to do that. What else have I got? Let's have a go with this one. So we're going to go with lilac, I think. I need to clean that. There we are. Lilac-y colour. Clean my paintbrush, get a bit of clean water. Let's go lilac. And then I'm just going to go, now you can see these are really pigmented, so it's quite a bit stronger than I would like. So I'm just going to paint that on like this, nice and quickly. And then I'm going to grab my thinner paintbrush and I'm just going to drag those colours up to the end. So I've got it nice and pale at the end. It just adjusts it for me. So I can really get that paler colour going. You've got to work quickly though before it properly dries. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Now, I told you I was going to do something else. And what I want to do is bring in my shimmer watercolours. So what I'm going to do on these is, now I do spray onto these like this, get them wet. And I'm just going to spray onto here. Just make a little puddle in the middle. Can you see? There we go. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit. Oh, that is a lot. Maybe not that much. A little bit of the shimmer over the top. Just let it flow as well. Oh, I've just gone into my clean. I'm going to do the same with my peachy colour now. I've got two sets of these. Which one do I want for that? I think it's still out of this set. Let's go with this one. Let's just spray a little bit. There we go. Could actually pick up a bit of that as well. And then we could just come around the centre. You can't actually see the shimmer until it dries, but it really will. Oh yeah, that's much better. Oh, I can see the shimmer coming through. There we go. I'll just keep on going like that. So let's go with, let's do these leaves. Oh, if I've got a green that will work on there. Let's have a go. See if I've got a bit of green that I can put on. That's not wet. So this is the Sunbeam. So this set is designed for white card. Moonbeam is designed to work on black and white card, whereas these colours are just a little bit paler and you wouldn't see them as well on your black card. So there we go. That's just so that you know. Let's go with this one. Let's do one more set of leaves and then I'll show you my... Oh, and then I want to show you what I do with around the outside of it. So let's go in. Make sure my brush is clean. I would have done all the leaves together if I was doing it before, but I was just showing you jumping around. And then we can just do these ones too. Just like that. Just like that. Clean water, and then I'm just going to... These, look at this, so pigmented, it's still travelling quite thickly down there. But it's fine. Got a little bit of that one. Down the centre. So what I'll do is then I'll find a nice green. I've got a nice green on that one. Ooh, that orchard looks nice. Now, by doing this, puddling them on here, once you've finished, it then dries back into the palette and you don't waste any of your pigment. There we go. So just keep on going like that. Now, once you've finished there, we need, I don't want all this white space. So you need to make sure everything's dry. I'm just going to give it a quick blast. Right, that was a very quick blast, but I just want it to be dry. What I do tend to do is flatten it overnight because, yeah, it will need a good flatten out because you've done watercolour card. But when you're drying watercolour card, always remember to dry from the back as well. Okay, so what I've got is I've got a thicker brush now. And I'm actually just going to, let me just going to spray onto this blue. There we are, right. Just give it a bit. Then I'm going to pick up the blue. Put it onto here. That's much better. But I'm also going to spray down here because I want it quite loose. There we go, you can see. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to come around here. And I'm just going to pop. You know how sometimes we edge our drawing, our stamped images? Well, that's effectively what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to go around the edges with the blue. It really makes it pop. We don't want it on a boring white background. We just come round like this. And I actually quite like getting the swirls of a bit darker out here. Don't worry if you've got different colours because it will really, really make it pop. And again, I'm not using any fancy technique. I'm just edging it round, just round like that, all the way down, and then we can come back up here. If you want it paler, all you do is pick up some water and then just drag it down. Just drag it down like that. And just keep going round, all the way around. But, as I said before, when you come two colours up to each other, always make sure the last one is nice and dry. So can you see, I'm not going to go any further with that because otherwise we'll be here for a very long video. But I'll show you this one, look. Can you see? It's exactly the same colours. And that is all I have done on here. But I have to admit, when I did this, I just sat and really, really enjoyed it. It's ever so relaxing. Now I've had that under my stamping platform for, well, it's been a good couple of days now, just to let it flatten out. Now I also did this one, if you remember, and we've not done anything with that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it about 4 centimetres up that way and about 4.5 centimetres down that side, and I'll show you what that looks like. There we go. And that has cut that out, just like that. Perfect fit, isn't that? Just, you can see that everything lined back up immaculately. Isn't that amazing? So you could cut this one down, but I think it's easier to have the stability of the whole one underneath, and then you've got this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this on, and that is why I've not bothered painting down that side, because I knew I didn't need to. So let's put this onto here, and I love that transition from all that colour to the grey and white. Now you could do this in white, but I just thought in white would be quite harsh. So in this off grey, it's very, very nearly not grey, isn't it? It's only just grey. Now you can put this on, and once you've lined it up, now the most important thing to do is to make sure it lines up, otherwise it won't look right. I just want to just adjust that bit. Come on. it's easier to line it up like that. And then if you have got card stick, look at that, perfect match. If you've got card sticking out, which I don't think I have, you can always trim it afterwards. Now that's a bit weird at the moment, having a transition from one to the other. So I actually found this Stamps by Me stamp set, and they're like bubble ones, so you can see. And I've used the happy birthday. I've left it off the stamping mat, I don't know where it is. And I've stamped it in white, and I'm going to pop it across there. So I've not trimmed it down at the moment because I need to wait till it's on the card. Pop this onto here. I love this. So you can't, this is just basically going to cover up that join and make sure that it will overlap at the edges. There we go. And then maybe that's not the perfect centre, but it's the centre of the flower, so that really works for me. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to use the card as a guide of where to cut it. Don't even try to cut before you get on. And look at that. Doesn't that look perfect? I'm so pleased with that. Now I'm going to pop that onto black. And the reason I wanted to put that onto black is so that the black runs onto there. Now what I have done already is I've put some red liner on, because the red liner is going to help to keep the cardstock straight and flat, because I've added a lot of water to this one, and I just wanted to make sure that it was flat. So what I might actually do is just go round on here with a little bit of my glue, so hopefully it will give me a bit of wriggle room, but then once that presses down it'll stick. There we go. I'm just going to pop this on. Now I'm going to probably have to just do this off camera. Right, sorry about that. I had to do that off camera because I could not see. And because I've cut that black really, really fine. But I just wanted enough on there that it was just edging. So let's bring in the card base. We're going to put that onto white. Now I've used some blue, which I thought was a really good match. I've taken out the centre because this is a big piece of blue. So let's put the white on next. Let's put the white on. Using my pin flare all the way. Doesn't bend and warp the card, doesn't pin flare, so you can get away with quite a lot on this one. Look at that, perfect. And then I've got foam tape on here. You know I like to go vertically with my foam tape, so I've got lots of shorter pieces, because this is a short wide card rather than a taller thin card. Just the way it's fallen, actually. Let's put that onto there. Bit of PVA. I need to fill this up. I've got a big bottle from Sticks too, so it'll fill up. One all the way across there. Yeah. Make sure my card's the right way up. It's always worth having that quick check. And then we have a layer on there. That's sliding because I'm lifting it. Put that onto there. There we go. Press it down. That just needs to go up a little bit. Come on, stop sliding. There. Hold that. There we are. How about that? Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Now, I thought I'd do a couple of little bits to finish this off. So I've got a few different gems here. Let's move all this out of the way. And we're not going to do specific ones. We're just going to do a few little random gems. We've got the purple. I need another one of those purples. And then I need a couple of blacks, I think, black ones, like that, like that. And I just thought this peachy colour is quite a good match, isn't it? So let's go with a smaller one of those. and then a small up there. That'll do. How about that? I love that. So a fun bit of watercolour, then the transition through to the other colour. And do you know what? If it doesn't line up perfectly, this band is going to hide a multitude of sins. I love the blue around the outside, gives it a really good sort of base. But, you know, you then go into this grey at the bottom, which I think is really, really pretty. I'd love to know what you think. It's something a little bit different. I haven't done watercolour colouring for the longest time, watercolour painting even, for the longest time. I love the fact that I've got those, can you see that, with the shimmers in the middle? Really works, doesn't it? Really works to give it a lift. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know in the comments at the bottom what you think. On the left, as always, is a link to another video. On the right is a link to my subscribe button, and I'm going to leave you there maybe to have a go at something like this. Make sure you've got your heat gun ready, because it's really, really helpful to colour, to dry between different colours, stops the colours from spreading. Look at that, just a nice little bit yellow on there. Really, really effective. Okay, thank you, my crafty friends. I will be back with another video very soon. But until then, you take care and enjoy your crafting, whatever you're doing. Don't forget to share it with me. I love to see your crafting. So until then, my friends, you take care and bye from me. I'll see you soon. Bye.